Hello and welcome to Wednesday Warfare, where I review NXT and AEW Dynamite back-to-back and try and figure out which show won for the week. Let's get started right away with NXT. The show opens up with Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair. It's a match that's been brewing for the last couple of weeks now, and it's a strength versus strength here. Two powerful ladies in a battle to see who gets the inside track in the NXT Women's Championship scene. Near the end of the match, Io Shirai comes in and attacks Rhea Ripley while the referee is not looking, but she kicks out when Bianca Belair tries to capitalize on that. Io gets on the apron, but Candice LeRae, her old rival, she runs down and prevents Io from doing any more damage. Rhea hits her pump handle slam onto Bianca to win the match. Very good opening match here by these two ladies, and with a dash of continuing storyline between Candice and Io thrown in, and they're going to have a match next week to follow up. We get an interview outside Full Sail with Pete Dunn while Tyler Bate is standing next to him, and Pete Dunn says that he's not done with Damian Priest after what happened last week. He doesn't care about Killian Dane, which means soon he will care about Killian Dane very much. We get a Tommaso Ciampa hype package showcasing his recovery from neck surgery, followed by his recent return to NXT television. Then we see the aforementioned Tyler Bate sitting in the front row at ringside for this next match. You know, like you do, totally natural. I'm sure nothing will come of that. Our next match sees Matt Riddle versus the Hatted One, Cameron Grimes, and this is a great match. It's like a mile a minute from start to finish, except for like one quick lull in the middle, but it's a really fast-paced matchup. And at one point, Matt hits Cameron with a jackhammer, throwing more shade at Goldberg. He's been kind of like feuding with him in an unofficial capacity in the last couple of months, and there were even some Riddle chants in the same kind of cadence as the Goldberg chants. Ultimately, Riddle wins with the Bro Derek after a series of big moves and false finishes from both guys. After the match, though, Cameron getting into it with Tyler Bate in the front row. He shoves him, he goes to grab his hat, turns back around and gets hit right in the mush by Bate. We'll see a match with those two next week, and boy, it's a good thing that Bate was sitting there at ringside, otherwise that match wouldn't be happening. Six-man tag match up next as the Forgotten Sons take on Breezango, and their partner was supposed to be Kushida, but he hurt his wrist against Walter a couple weeks ago, so their replacement is Isaiah Swerve Scott, and those guys are just super over the entire match. Everything they do gets huge pops. By the way, bonus points to Breezango for their Top Gun-inspired intro, and also the little references peppered throughout in commentary. Swerve wins the match after a back kick to Blake? I want to say it's Blake, but yeah, very exciting six-man tag, and again, Swerve, I think, above all else, really got to shine in this matchup, but Breezango, being aligned with Breezango certainly helped. A very brief promo by Killian Dane, who's standing next to a flaming oil barrel as he tapes his fingers up. He says, "Last week, Pete Dunne tried to break my fingers, so I'm going to try and break him." Very short promo, but very intense, and I'm greatly looking forward to the eventual matchup with those guys. Cruiserweight action up next as Angel Garza takes on Jack Gallaher. The Cruiserweight champion, Leo Rush, is on commentary for this one, and for a guy who's known for his oratory skills, I wasn't really impressed with his talking and during commentary for this matchup. He's very muted for this one. But yeah, it was kind of cool to see Jack Gallaher in action. I haven't seen him on TV in a long time. Last time I saw him, he was a heel and he was wearing street clothes as he wrestled, so he's back to, wrestling in trunks again. So I've missed out on a lot of Jack Gallaher stuff, let's just say. It is also kind of a short and sweet match. Garza wins with the sea assault, and then afterward he stares a hole at Rush on the announce table, and he's clearly wanting a shot at that Cruiserweight Championship. We'll see where that goes. In a match that was announced on YouTube by GM William Regal, Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai, Team Knee Brace, taking on Jessamyn Duke and Marina Shafir, and the winning team will take on the Kabuki Warriors next Wednesday for the Women's Tag Team Championships, which that announcement alone I think is huge. And let me just say, I really don't care for Duke and Shafir, the other two horsewomen. They're just kind of meh to me as personalities and as wrestlers. I think what they really need is a chance to eventually break out on their own and kind of establish their own identities, kind of what Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler got to do in Baszler's case before the other two came along. Right now, they've just perceived as henchwomen. They haven't had a chance to shine. Maybe if they get that opportunity, my opinion will change on them, but for right now, the jury is out. It's a very short match, about 4 minutes long here. Ultimately, Tegan hits the shiniest of wizards on Duke to win the match for her team. Then afterward, the Kabuki Warriors show up on the big screen and cut a promo in a mix of Japanese and English, basically saying that the two have no chance. I'm very excited for this matchup next week. Just in general, the fact the women's tag belts are going to be defended on NXT next week, I think it's a really huge deal. It was something we first thought about months ago when Sasha Banks and Bayley were the champs. They showed up on NXT saying, one day we'll defend the belts here. They didn't get to do that, so finally we'll see them defended by the Kabuki Warriors. Helps really reinforce the idea of the fact these belts are floating championships. I just hope that match next week is longer than this one was. In your main event, North American Championship triple threat match as Roderick Strong defends against LEE and DOMINIC DIJAKOVIC. Like I said last week, I'm excited for this matchup. I just hate the way they set it up, but that's in the past. Anyway, this match was awesome. LEE and DIJAKOVIC are just magic together, just big boys doing big boy things. It was awesome. At one point, there's a Tower of Doom spot on Roderick Strong, and it almost ends very badly for him. I couldn't tell if it was like a shoot, they almost screwed it up, or they were just kind of doing an impressive deadlift suplex spot there, but it was a really scary moment there. At one point on the outside, Roderick gets taken out, and then we have this kind of moment between Keith and Dominic where they kind of look at each other and kind of nod going, yes, we will kill each other now in the ring. It was just that kind of cool little moment there. In the end, though, LEE hits Dominic with a top rope powerbomb. Immediately, Roderick hits a running knee on Keith and wins the match, retains the championship. Awesome main event. After the match, the rest of the Undisputed Buddies show up to congratulate Roddy. They beat down Keith Lee some more. Out comes Tommaso Ciampa. Out comes Johnny Gargano. Then out comes Finn Balor. Now, all this past week, they've been hyping up that his future will become his past. I guess what they meant by that was he's going to be a heel like he was in Japan. Pele kicked a Gargano out of nowhere. The Undisputed Era started beating up Ciampa a little bit as Balor just sits back and watches everything. He hits Gargano on the outside with a running dropkick into the barricade, into a whole bunch of extras posing as fans. Then he hits Gargano with a brainbuster on the ramp, which looked incredibly stiff. That's how this show ends. A very shocking, dramatic heel turn by Finn Balor. You know, I'm of two minds on it. I'm very excited on one hand because we haven't really seen a heel Finn Balor in WWE. So for him to make this change, I think is really exciting on one level. But at the same time, though, right now in NXT, just with the Undisputed Era, by virtue of their existence, the top tier of NXT right now is very heel heavy. Where's Finn Balor going to shake down in all this? Because, you know, I think with a heel turn like that, it can only really be validated, I feel, with a championship victory. And he ain't beating Roderick Strong or Adam Cole anytime soon for the belt. So one of those guys is going to drop the belt to a face at some point. So when is it? How long is it going to take? Who's it going to be? And then I would imagine Finn gets that belt right afterward. Just kind of do some deep thinking ahead because, you know, it's a shocking heel turn. I think that was definitely one of the bigger parts of the week across both shows. But, you know, it's like, what is the long-term end to this? What is it going to result in? Like, it's far more clear-cut of a heel turn than when they were teasing a Johnny Gargano heel turn like earlier this year. Like, that didn't really pan out. But now we've got a clear-cut heel here. But with the rest of the Undisputed Era just hanging out, like, where's he going to fit in? No opening or intros required for AEW Dynamite. This week, the show kicks off right off the bat with one of the tag title tournament semifinal matches as Private Party takes on the Lucha Brothers. And like I said, you know, the Matt Riddle-Cameron Grimes match, that was a mile a minute. This one was like 10 miles a minute. This was just insane, balls-to-the-wall action from beginning to end, and I just loved it. You get the flips, you get the dips. There's an amazing spot at one point where they put Isaiah Cassidy on Mark Quinn's shoulders. Phoenix does a big drop kick onto Isaiah, which resulted in him hitting a reverse Rana on his own partner. That's insane. And then it cuts right to this shot of this very disinterested looking woman in the crowd. And that was kind of the plague with all of AEW Dynamite on this night, where it's like every time they went to like a crowd shot, they went to the most bored looking people in the audience. Like, how do they get so unlucky every time they go to the crowd shots there? Anyway, Pentagon and Phoenix win the match after the double stomp package piledriver combo onto Mark Quinn. Like I just said, amazing match. Just a constant non-stop highlight reel. Great way to open the show. We get another hype package for Wardlow. I think last time we saw him was during All Out, doing a very Brian Cage, Lucha Underground-esque vignette in a parking lot somewhere. This time was more workout related. And then we go right on to the next semifinal match in the tournament as SCU take on the Dark Order. Very bold strategy to have those two tournament matches back-to-back like they did here. The Dark Order earned a first-round bye after beating the Best Friends at All Out. And during their entrance, or actually before their entrance, actually, they tossed to a Dark Order hype package. And JR says, "You're going to learn more about the Dark Order right now." We learned nothing more about the Dark Order in this matchup here. As the match goes on, the Inner Circle show up, minus Jake Hager. He's preparing for his MMA fight this weekend, but the other four members, Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Santana, and Ortiz, they show up with tickets and they go to a suite up in the upper tier. But why should Jericho have to buy tickets when he's Le Champion? It's a good match here, not quite as jaw-dropping as the previous tag team match, but still impressive nonetheless. At one point, Stu Grayson does this kind of thing where he walks on Evil Uno's and referee Aubrey Edwards' shoulders to attack his opponents. But like Scorpio's right there too, so why didn't he walk on Scorpio's shoulders as well? Anyway, be that as it may, SCU wins after an SCU later on to Stu Grayson. Kaz and Scorpio Sky advance to the finals, and they'll be taking on the Lucha Brothers in the finals next week. Can't wait. Up next, Joey Janelle taking on Kenny Omega, the new AAA Mega Champion as of this week, in a rematch from AEW Dark 2 weeks ago. It was a match that was so well received, they decided to change Janelle's booking at the last minute this week to facilitate this rematch. And it's a really good match here, very competitive stuff. I think this little micro series that Janelle has had with Omega has really showcased Joey's strengths. He can do hardcore, and he can have a regular match and keep pace with Kenny Omega. I think anyone out there who dogs Janela and like thinks he's kind of a one-note guy or just do the hardcore stuff, go watch these two matches. I think he can really perform and really change a lot of people's expectations. Be that as it may, Omega wins with the one-winged angel, and that's that. But real star-making stuff by Janelle here. Tony Schiavone's in the ring with Cody to get an interview with him, and he's supposed to have a big announcement on this night, but we didn't really get that because as Cody's trying to talk, the Inner Circle are in their suite just interrupting and heckling Cody with air horns, and like Jericho's got a live mic, and he's saying boo into it. And then Cody says, you know, this is not like the company we were in before. There's no invisible wall. I can just get into the suite and start beating you up right now. And Jericho kind of like goads him into it, calls him an entitled millennial bitch. And then, you know, so Cody, he's outnumbered. It's 4-on-1. Out comes Dustin Rhodes. Out comes MJF. Jericho with a great burn on MJF saying, who wears a scarf? That was just a great little line, a nice little throwback for Jericho there. But then the fourth man is DDP. Like, okay, I'll buy it. And so then like they go up to the suite, the Inner Circle lock themselves into this other room up there with this like glass window there, so that MJF hands Cody the scarf, he wraps it up and punches a hole in the glass, and they make their way through. They has fight. They start fighting in like the concourse area by the concessions and everything. Security breaks it up, and at one point like Cody shoves Jericho's face into the Dippin' Dots, and the image of Jericho holding up his ticket, this pouty Chris Jericho holding up his ticket like it's a crucifix to keep everyone away from him, is the funniest fucking thing I've seen all week. I laughed so much, I was like coughing after seeing this image of just pouty Jericho going, ticket. It was so fun. I want to see some memes of people like photoshopping other things into Jericho's hand. That was such an iconic shot for Chris Jericho, Le Champion. It was just great. But yeah, it was a fun segment to see. You know, I don't think we ever got what the announcement actually was, but the fight between Cody and friends versus the Inner Circle was a lot of fun. The Young Bucks take on the Best Friends up next. It's kind of like a loser's bracket in the tag title tournament. Not like a derogatory thing, but clearly the winners of this match can get a lot of momentum in the tag team scene from here on out. Orange Cassidy, who is kind of the third member of the Best Friends right now, he opens the match by doing his trademark super kicks on the Bucks, but he eats a double super kick of their own to start the matchup. And the Bucks also steal the Best Friends hug with the Rainmaker Snap Zoom, though Chuck and Trent get one of their own later on the match. Cassidy does help out periodically, including a hands in pockets dive to the outside. Ultimately, it's another great showing by these two teams. Bang for your buck for Matt and Nick to win the match here. And you can tell, you know, with the Young Bucks having these executive positions, obviously there's going to be an emphasis on tag team wrestling in AEW. We've seen that. We saw it last week when there were 3 tag team matches, then 3 tag team matches this week. They really want to put an emphasis on the tag team wrestling, which I know some people have a kind of I've seen some people kind of like dog AEW for that lately, but it kind of runs counter to like the general vibe I've gotten from you know, internet fans over the last several years, where people complain that in WWE there is not much of an emphasis on tag teams. Well, AEW is giving you that emphasis here. Anyway, after the match, Matt grabs the mic and accepts the challenge given by Santana and Ortiz last week, so that match is on for Full Gear. Jamie Hayter takes on Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, the hometown girl getting the hero's welcome in Pittsburgh. I did really enjoy her custom like Britsburg ring jacket, and she comes out with the Steelers mascot, Steely McBeam. Big fan of Jamie Hayter selling to the crowd and everything, doing the heel shtick, but I think she kind of overdid the crying hands at one point during her heat. It's a solid match. Baker wins with the lockjaw. How refreshing to see the hometown hero actually win a match in her hometown. That's kind of nice. Then after the match, we get a post-match promo from Jamie. She gets maybe 3 words out before she's jumped from behind by Brandy Rhodes, and then Brandy points a very menacing finger for a very long time at the interview lady, whose name I don't know, I'm sorry. But anyway, she just does that for a while, and she walks off. I don't know what her deal is. Did I miss something on Being the Elite? In your main event, the Bastard PAC takes on Jon Moxley. It's a follow-up from last week when Moxley hit his own tag team partner PAC with a paradigm shift to allow their team to lose. So a bit of a grudge match here. PAC hits Moxley right during the entrance with a steel chair, and I swear this couldn't have been timed better, where PAC hits Moxley with a chair right as I'm pretty sure you hear like one of those pyro concussions go off. Just wonderful timing. Anyway, very physical match here once the match actually officially begins. Moxley avoids the Black Arrow, hits the paradigm shift, but PAC's able to kick out of of it, which is pretty big. But then time expires before a winner can be decided. The match ends in a draw. The crowd shits on it. Moxley hits the referee with the paradigm shift afterward because he's very upset. And that's how the show ends. I can see why they did it because, it protects both guys. It lengthens their feud to something with higher stakes down the line. I get that. It is just kind of a pisser, though, when, that's how the main event ends. If you were to add some other kind of drama, some other kind of run-in to kind of add some more pepper to that, I could see that. I could see it being kind of redeemed in that way. But we didn't get that. We just got, referee bump, and that was kind of how the show ended. The match was great itself, except for the disappointing finish. Time now for me to decide which show won for the week, NXT or AEW Dynamite. And folks, this week the streak's been broken. I believe NXT was the superior show. The last 2 to 3 weeks of build on NXT paid off in a huge way this week with some big matches. I especially love the Riddle-Grimes matchup, as well as the fantastic North American Championship triple threat match. AEW also had a very strong showing. Both shows were lots of fun. I had a blast watching both shows. I think that neither show had a lot wrong with them, but if you're comparing the strength of the two main events, I believe that NXT's was far stronger. At least had a clean ending, a decisive ending. The draw on AEW was a bit disappointing, which kind of factored into my decision this week. But yeah, both shows I think were just great overall. NXT was a bit stronger, and with both shows, I'm very excited for what's to come. But let me know what you thought about NXT and AEW this week in the comments section below, and be sure to vote which show you thought was better by going to the iCard in the corner of your screen. Speaking of Pittsburgh, that's where AEW was this week. I'm going to be in Pittsburgh in a couple of weeks as part of the festivities for ROH's The Experience event happening Saturday, November 2nd in Pittsburgh. And then the next night, I'm going to be in Columbus, Ohio for ROH's Unauthorized show. Cole Cabana's hosting that one. Should be a lot of fun. But yeah, if you're in the Pittsburgh or Columbus areas in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be part of the show. Not entirely sure what I'm going to be doing there from a live perspective on either show, but nevertheless, I'm still very excited to have another opportunity with Ring of Honor, and I hope you can go check either of those shows out. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.